Hi, welcome to another episode of Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. And earning his pay today as our animal wrangler is our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. And while we don't have a large cat population right now, we do want to showcase at least one every week. And our first cat and our first guest is going to be Roger. And Roger sadly was adopted and then unfortunately returned through no fault of his own. The family discovered that they did have some allergy issues. And if you're thinking about adopting a pet and you're not sure what your allergy situation might be, I would highly encourage you to come and hang out in our kitty cabana for a while where the cats are free roaming, so you can really be in the environment where there's going to be dander and things like that. Really immerse yourself in that, or go to a friend's house with some pets that you are of the species that you're interested in adopting, and kind of really be around that so that you have more of an awareness, so that you don't have to do what this family did and unfortunately bring Roger back. As you can see, he is very food motivated and loves a good snack. He is one of the cats that's quick to eat all of his food relatively quickly. But he is also, while he's a little bit nervous about the scenario here and being kind of forced to stay on the chair, in environments where he has a little bit more control, he is super confident. He likes to go and he likes to explore. He's very playful. He's very affectionate. He seeks out attention. And he has a lot of really great qualities. And hopefully as a result of that, he's going to find a new family, a new chance at a forever family very quickly.
So he recently moved into one of our free roam cat rooms. How's that transitioning going for him?
So he moved into the second cabana, which is a smaller one, with another cat that's been on the show before, Panda. And because Panda had been here longer, he is out free roaming. And right now, Roger is still in the transition cage. But they seem to be getting along quite well with that, safety barrier in place. When I was messing with them recently, the door was open. Both of them were kind of, there was the cage in between, but they were right next to each other. There was no hissing, no growling. I was petting both of them at the same time. So, pretty soon he's going to be moving out and have that ability to hang out and play with Panda as he chooses. And that's going to give us a great indicator. So far, it seems like he will do well in a multi-cat household. Which a lot of people are looking for. They want, pets that they can have with other cats. And I think that's going to be a good thing with him. And it's only been about a week or so since they've moved in together. So it, hopefully a relatively quick transition to a multi-cat home as well. And he just didn't have any issues. Panda was a little bit nervous. I moved Roger in there and he was like, oh, I'm in a new spot. Cool. All right. He didn't really have any adjustment period. He just went and sat in his bed and was perfectly content. So he's going to acclimate to a new home relatively quickly if he finds that new forever family. If you want to visit with Roger in our kitty cabana, you can do so by booking an appointment, and that website is going to be visitfcac.as.me. The first dog that we have for you today is Blue, and she is our 1-year-old heeler mix. She's got that great blue merle color, just that combination. And then the brown around her face is just, she's super cute. She's really cute. Everybody who sees her talks about how cute she is. And she's a great size. She's actually only about 30 pounds. So while she might fill out a little bit more, she's a relatively small dog that a lot of people can handle. We always get comments on how large our dogs are. And while this isn't necessarily a small dog, she's in the medium to small range. Definitely manageable. I had to pick her up to put her in the van, so she's not hard to pick up. Our ACOs, our animal control officers, took a shine to Blue here, and they've been kind of keeping her in their office, and they really love her. She's done really well with all of them, especially since a lot of dogs are afraid of people in uniforms, and she loves them. So that's not something that's off-putting to her. And they say that she's really pretty well behaved. She just kind of lays around and wants to cuddle. One of the things that we have learned since Blue has been staying here with us is that she can be a little vocal, especially when people leave. And when she is vocal, It's a very high frequency. So for that reason, we are not recommending that she go to a family that lives in an apartment, just because their neighbors might not enjoy listening to Blue's complaints about being left alone. She does eventually settle down, but that's something that, we don't want her to be returned because of, complaints to landlords and things like that.
So she recently went to an event with you. How did that go?
So all in all, she did a really good job. The first thing that I noticed is that, she was a little bit wary of going into the van. She didn't really want to get into the car. She kind of pulled away, things like that. So I had to physically pick her up and put her in the van and into the crate. Once she was in the crate, though, it didn't seem to be that bothersome to her. She hung out in there. I had to set up. It was hot, so she was in the crate alone while the van was running. I couldn't hear her crying. When I went back to get her, she didn't seem to be in distress. She came out. She was a little bit like, where are we? How do we get transported to some new location? She walked around, and then after she kind of got her bearings, she was very social. She would go up to interact with people. Unfortunately, not every person there was interested in interacting with her. Some people were a little nervous about the dog, so she would go up and give them a polite sniff, and they would be a little caught off guard. But she did really well with the kids, the adults. She did seem to be nervous about the other dogs. So we are going to do some, dog testing here, see if we can do some parallel walks to see how she's going to do long term with that type of scenario. But she would hear, balloons popping and recover really quickly. So all in all, she did a really great job, and that's going to, we can get a report written up on that. It would be in her profile, so potential adopters can see how she's going to handle those types of new surroundings and things of that nature. If you want to make Blue the cuddler here part of your family, then you can do so by starting that process at visitfcac.as.me to book that appointment. Well, Disco may be a little shorter than our last guest. He actually has 15 pounds on Blue. He is a big guy for his size. He's all muscle. This is Disco, and he's about 4 years old. He is one of our terrier mixes. He is the last of our low riders. We had 3 dogs of about this size and shape. And he is the last one available. Both Froggy and Callie have been adopted. So he's looking for his forever home. He is a very energetic guy. He's very playful. He's very affectionate too. He'll sit right in your lap once he's kind of run off some of his energy. But because of his build and his, the way his face and things are, he is not built for like a hiking companion. He's like a run around in the yard, do a couple of zoomies, and then take a nap. He's also not built for things like extreme heat, leaving him outside for long periods of time, just because, he has a shorter face. He's, doesn't have that ability because of his stockiness and stuff like that to cool off as well. So we want to make sure that he's not going to have heat stroke or anything like that. So just keeping those types of things in mind if you want to make Disco part of your family. I did take him to an event, and overall he did pretty well in terms of interactions with people and strangers. There was a table next to us, and they quickly became his hype crew for a while, and they were like, hey, Disco's available, and he loved them and he played with them. He did really well, cuddling, meeting new people in that regard. He enjoyed that interaction. Because he is so short, he did struggle getting in and out of the van, so he did need a boost. So if you don't want to have to lift your dog in and out of the car, you might consider getting some little steps or a ramp. They do make those available commercially for dogs, or you can make those things yourself. But he did have trouble kind of jumping in that kind of situation. He tried, he just didn't have the ups for it. He is just a fantastic dog, and I really enjoy him. He's super funny, but he is strong, so you want to make sure, don't look at his size and think that, oh, he's going to be like, super, he's not going to pull or anything like that. He definitely has some muscle and puts that behind him when he's moving around.
Yes, he does. So Disco has a common fear among dogs. What's that? So
Disco is not into the loud noises. He can be a little bit fearful of just new situations in general sometimes, some new things. But if he hears noises, that definitely startles him. That's actually how he acquired his name. They were processing him, and he heard like a noise, and he kind of froze and startled, and so he became Panic at the Disco. So that's how he acquired his name. Sometimes when the other dogs on the dog floor are really loud, you can see it in his face that he's a little nervous, a little anxious about all of the noise. And then at that event, because it was a lot of like law enforcement, they were doing some like they had a small cannon or something like that, and they kept shooting it off, and that really startled him. And because they were doing it, fairly continuously, he just never really recovered. So he's not a dog that you're going to take out with you on the 4th of July or by any means. You definitely want to do some research into what you can do, and there's going to be a lot of those, loud noises going on to make him more comfortable. But it's a common dog problem, so there's a lot of information out there on things that you can do to make him feel more comfortable, whether that's music or a thunder shirt or any of those types of things. If you are interested in making Disco part of your family and you can help him avoid things like fireworks and all of that stuff, you can go to visit fcac.as.me to make an appointment to meet him. Our next guest is Dixie, and she is one of our hound dogs. We get a lot of certain types of breeds. It tends to be a lot of pit bull mixes and a lot of hound dogs. Dixie is a relatively young dog at 8 to 10 months old. So, well, here we kind of put her in the puppy category. Out in the larger dog world, she would be considered an adolescent dog. In those teenagers' years, where she still has a lot of things to learn, but she has a great foundation because during her stay here, Dixie was able to go to one of our puppy camps. We work with another trainer who trains dogs and dog trainers, and they need dogs to be their students for their students. And so Dixie was fortunate enough to be able to do that. And so she learned some basic manners, things like sit, down, touch, trying to work on polite leash walking and things like that. So she does have a little bit of a foundation, and whoever adopts Dixie is going to get the information from that camp, so it has all the instructions on how they can continue to work through all of those good manners things with Dixie. She's very food motivated. The person who worked with her during that camp said she really enjoyed hiking. So if you're an active person and you want to take her out, she did really well on all of the hikes. And that's a great outlet for her energy. And it's a good enrichment because she's a hound dog. They like to smell things, and there's tons of different scents out there in the woods. Here, Dixie's been very friendly. When she got processed, she curled up right in the lap, even with one of our coworkers' children. So, she is fairly good with the kids, things like that. So she has a lot of great qualities about her. We just need to find that right family for Dixie. And because of her, her age and her good size and the fact that she does have some of those good manners, she's going to be suitable for basically any household.
So Dixie was adopted and then returned. What happened?
So she's going to be suitable for any household that doesn't have cats. When people apply for animals, we didn't used to do this, but during COVID we kind of started, if you're looking to adopt a dog and you have a cat, we now kind of walk them through our cat floor and see what happened, right? The cats are still in their cages, so everyone is safe. So we're judging, is the dog interested? Is it super fixated? Does it walk away? And we did walk Dixie through, and she didn't seem to be that bothered by the cats, but it is very different when you see something in a cage as to opposed when it's running through your house and it's running, and that's kind of what triggers some dogs, the running. And so unfortunately, while the family really loved Dixie and were super devastated to have to bring her back, she was chasing their cat in a way that was not super playful. It was a little bit more predatory. So for that reason, we are looking for a household that has no cats or small animals to take on Dixie. But that's really the only thing that we've noticed. She's done fine with other dogs. She did fine with dogs at camp. She didn't have any issues with the dogs here. So just, again, looking for that no cats, no small animals to set her up for success and make sure all the pets in the household are safe. But that's really the only restriction that she has. She's recommended for any age children, things of that nature. So if you have a cat-free household and are looking for a dog, and especially if you're looking for a hiking companion, Dixie might be the perfect fit for you. But the only way you're going to know if there's that connection is to make that appointment to meet her. And you can do that by going to visit fcac.as.me. Our next guest is Evan. He's been on the show before, and as I always have a favorite, he is my current favorite dog since Abraham got adopted. Evan is one of our longtime residents now. He's been with us for over 100 days, and you know, he doesn't always show great in his kennel, but he does so well outside. So if you're walking by and he's barking a little bit, you know, don't take that as his entire personality. Definitely meet him outside because he's a fantastic guy. He's an older dog at about 5 to 6 years old. You can start to see the graying in his muzzle, but he still has a lot of energy and he's a lot of fun. He loves to play. He loves a good squeaky toy. If you have those spread around your house, you'll always know what room he's in because you can hear the squeaking and then also the ripping of the fabric. So you'll always know where he is. He is a great hiking companion because I've taken him out when he was at puppy camp as well. He loves, you know, walking through the woods and sniffing. When I was with him, he enjoyed getting in the creek, which I thought was a fluke because he doesn't like to get in the baby pool here. But then one of the volunteers took him to the park and he was back in the creek. So he loves walking through the creek. He does have some restrictions because Evan likes to chase furry critters. You know, when he sees the chickens out in our coop, he's like focused on those things. If he sees a squirrel run by, he will start to chase it. So I'm definitely not adopting Evan into any households with cats, small animals. If you have chickens on your property, probably not going to be the best fit. But then on the flip side, he is afraid of horses. So he is a complicated man, but he is just very affectionate with people that he knows. He wants you to pet him. He gets super excited. His tail starts wagging. He starts spinning in circles when one of his people approaches him. And he loves a good belly rub. He just has a lot of fantastic qualities for the right family.
So the last time he was on the show, you had mentioned that he's fairly exuberant, excited about his toys, his stuffies in particular. Yes. Is that still the same? Has it changed?
So he is super excited about his stuffies still, but before he was definitely showing some of the starts of resource guarding behavior. You know, he would get a toy and he wouldn't want other people to be around, people or animals to kind of be around while he had it. He would be so focused on it, he wouldn't be able to let it go. You couldn't, you know, take it away from him or things like that. So we've been working on some protocols, just making sure that he has access to them. You know, one of the reasons that he stopped getting them all the time was because for safety in his kennel, tearing them apart. So we started giving them back to him in a controlled setting, so they're not as important anymore because he can have them more often. We started doing some I come in peace, which, you know, when he has a toy, you start at a distance and you give him some food, right? He likes food, so he knows that good things can happen when people approach him while he has a toy. We started working on some trade protocols, so, you know, he gets a piece of food and, you know, when he gives his toy up, but then he gets it back. And as a result, while he still really, really loves a good stuffy, you are able to pet him when he has one. And as you can see right now, there's 2 on the floor and he has chosen to get attention instead, which is something that in the past he wouldn't have been likely to do. So he has come a long way with that. But you still, you know, because he is so excited about them, we're looking for definitely older kids, teenagers, around, you know, tweens, that type of scenario, just because younger kids have toys that look like Evan's toys, and they might, you know, try to take them away from him, and then Evan might get upset about that. So we want to make sure that we're setting him up for success in that regard. But he has made a lot of progress, and hopefully will continue to do so with the right family. If you think that you are that family, you can make that appointment to visit with Evan by going to visit fcac.as.me. The last dog that we have for you today is Harley, and she's another one of our terrier mixes. She's a younger dog at about 2 years old, and she is just a bundle of energy. But I've been told also super, super cuddly. When they were processing her relatively recently for adoption, she was in our processing area, and one of the kennel techs sat down on the floor, and Harley just popped right into her lap and was perfectly happy to sit there and cuddle and get attention. So, and everywhere we have the whiteboards, just like very sweet girl, very sweet dog. So she's been getting lots of praise from the staff for her very sweet personality. Because she has been with us for a little bit before she was made available for adoption. So the staff have definitely had the opportunity to get to know her. In my recent interaction with her, she sits very nicely on cue. She can be very excited about her treats, but still takes them fairly nicely and gently. Wants to give paw, so she definitely has, you know, somebody's put some effort into teaching her, but she knows where the treats are. She wants the treats. So you can channel that energy into some training and some tricks and stuff. That would be great for her, not only for her mental stimulation, but just giving her some exercise and teaching her those good manners. I also really love like her curly tail. It just adds a little something extra. When you look at her pictures though, she kind of looks like she's like a mean dog, just because she likes to give you that blue steel. She doesn't like to do the standard like pit bull smile. She likes to give you like the what's up. But don't judge her by her face. She is super sweet, very affectionate, very silly, and has just like a ton of great quality. She's been very friendly here, no issues walking her past the other dogs, but she is a little bit strong, could benefit from a harness like the majority of our dog population.
So she does have a bite report on file. What's that mean?
So bite reports can kind of be, the name itself can be kind of misleading sometimes, but with state law, anytime an animal draws blood, whether it's a bite or a scratch, because of the concerns about rabies and things like that, they need to go into a quarantine period and reports have to be taken. We've actually had a guinea pig here on Bite Q before, so that just goes to show you it is really any animal, but it can be more common for the cats and the dogs. And she was surrendered to us because of a scratch incident that happened while playing, unfortunately. So when you're playing with your dogs, especially if you're playing rough, sometimes those things can happen. But because she scratched her owner during play, she had to have that report because that information was given to us. Blood was drawn. So she was quarantined for 10 days. Which is what added to her length of stay here before she was made available for adoption. But that's just in the report. So again, can be super misleading because it says bite, when in this instance it was just a scratch. And the severity was listed as mild. So, it can be just, it scratched the surface of the skin and it bled a little bit. Still it bled, so that has to get reported. So you wanna make sure that you're reading those bite reports and don't take them to heart because they can be simple as what was happening here, play. We've had, taking treats too roughly, bit a finger before, all of those types of things, but not something that, is a danger or an aggressive kind of behavior. So definitely understand them. If you have questions, ask the staff, but don't discount an animal as part of your family because you see one of those in their profiles. If you're interested in Harley and you want to get to know her, you can do that by, again, making that same appointment by going to visit fcac.as.me. We hope that you enjoyed meeting some of our adoptable animals today. I know we've been showcasing a lot of dogs. That's because our dog population has been quite large, continuing to have a small cat population, but there are still kittens available for those of you who are looking to add those furry felines to your households.